Aspergers and Loneliness. This is a subject that I've been thinking about. You see, as someone with Asperger's, I've been thinking how lonely it actually is. See, even when you develop friendships or simply being around people, you still feel that sense of loneliness. It never quite goes away. I would describe it like radio frequencies. Put simply, most other people are on one wavelength and you are on a completely different wavelength. And that goes with other people with Asperger's as well, ironically, because we're all on a different frequency. In some ways, because you deal with the same things, you can have that sense of familiarity, but that sense of loneliness never really goes away. The only time I've actually felt a connection to another person and actually wanted to, had the motivation to do things for someone else, is when I've fallen in love, which hasn't worked out very well because I've gone overboard and gone very intense, which does happen because I lack a great deal of experience in that area. But this is the thing, I care about my family. If my mother or my friends or family were in danger, I would try to protect them and look out for them when I can, within my power, obviously. But just thinking about them at times, just thinking about what their needs are, just doing little things for them, it doesn't really occur in my mind. And I think that does happen with a lot of us people with Asperger's and autism, because autism by definition is to be within oneself. Now, in some ways it feels good to be alone. Simply put, there's not all the chaos or the rules of human interaction, and to be honest, that is very hard work. It's difficult. You can make no mistake, for so-called normal people or neurotypicals, as you may want to say, they also find social interaction quite difficult, especially in this day and age where most people are spending their lives in front of a computer. Nonetheless, I'm just thinking, will this loneliness ever actually go away as such? You see, being on a different wavelength and being different from everybody goes hand in hand with being alone. I would relate it to the Superman story as such. Clark Kent grows up as an alien on the Earth. He's different from everybody. In some ways, he's quite special as well because he's got he's got all the superpowers, etc. But Superman himself feels lonely. He's the last survivor of his home planet. Well, unless you want to go into the Supergirl and all that such. But the general story is of Superman being the last son of Krypton. Now, this is quite relatable because Superman himself, he feels he's ultimately an alien as such, but he's trying to pretend to be a human being in his secret identity with as Clark Kent. Now, I understand that idea because essentially, as someone, because when you have if you have Asperger's syndrome or autism, you have to pretend to be a normal person to fit in and to adapt to what society is asking of you. So you're essentially wearing a mask as such. Your true self is a bit more complicated, and sometimes you have bad days, and and generally can be quite uneasy about talking to people about it and expressing. And it's difficult to express yourself because a lot of the time people don't understand. Even so-called professionals in the field probably wouldn't be able to understand, because unless you actually have the condition or actually have to deal with it on a daily basis, then how can you understand the kind of loneliness that we have to deal with? It's difficult. People, let's just get one thing clear. It's not that I don't or we don't have empathy. We do. We have feeling empathy. We just cannot put ourselves in another person's position. So, yeah, it bothers me when I upset people. It bothers me when people are in pain, etc. Obviously, seeing all the misery that goes on, I'd like to wave a magic wand and be done with all the misery that's gone. Because, yes, I can feel it. Kind of amusingly, really. I won't watch horror movies because I just don't like seeing people suffer. It's difficult, especially when you have that kind of almost strong feeling empathy. But can I relate to those people? No. Except on a very, very few occasions. Ironically, though, I do feel more understood than by neurotypical people than I do with other people with Asperger's, interestingly enough. But that's the thing. Obviously, I just want to say this is something that we have to deal with, and it's something that just something to think about. And yeah, if anybody's watching this, let me know what you think. Do you think I'm wrong? That's okay. I mean, have you had different experiences? Have you been able to develop an actual connection with somebody else? Interesting. But it's something that's I've been thinking about. So, like I said, tell me what you think. Like and subscribe. Blah blah blah. Ladies, alligators. Later.